Welcome back to Bmaster79. Today we are working through cue card number 34. Describe a sport you enjoyed when you were young. We will plan it together, build a full band 9 long turn, and then answer all 4 part 3 questions. One quick note before we start. When I say band 9, I mean this answer have been quality checked in-house against the public ielts band descriptors. It is not a score awarded by a certified examiner. The candidate, is invented, and so is her story. Please copy the technique and never the content. Here is the cue card exactly as it appears in the source material. You should say what it was, where you did it, and who you did it with, and explain how you felt about it. Underneath are the 4 part 3 questions we will come back to later. You get 1 minute to prepare, and how you spend it decides the whole answer. Choose your sport fast. Write single words, not sentences. Cover all 4 prompts but treat the last one, how you felt, as the main event. And always plan an ending. Here is Mai's actual planning sheet. On the left, the ideas, 1 line for each prompt. On the right, the language she wants to reach for. Notice how ordinary the ideas are. A courtyard, a cheap racket, an older brother. It is the detail that scores, not the drama. Before she speaks, she knows the shape. 15 seconds to open. 35 seconds on where. 25 on who. 35 on feelings, which is the emotional core. And 10 seconds to close. That is 2 minutes comfortably. Now the full long turn in Mai's voice. Read along with the text on screen and listen for how relaxed the pace is.
I'd like to talk about badminton, which was pretty much the centre of my childhoods. I picked it up when I was around 8, mostly because it was the one sport you could play absolutely anywhere. All you needed was a cheap racket and a bit of open space. We played in the courtyard of our apartment block. It wasn't a proper court by any stretch. We'd stretch a bit of old netting between 2 poles, and if the wind picked up, the shuttlecock would fly off in completely the wrong direction. On weekends, though, my dad would take us to a sports hall about 10 minutes away, where the floor was properly marked out and there was no wind to ruin a good rally. But that felt like an enormous treat at the time. I usually played with my older brother and 2 or 3 kids from the building. My brother was far better than me. He'd been playing for years, so at the start I was hopelessly outmatched, but he was patient enough to keep the rallies going instead of just smashing every shot past me. Looking back, I think that's the only reason I stuck with it. As for how I felt about it, honestly, it was pure joy. There's something incredibly satisfying about a long rally. When either side gives in, you completely lose track of time. It also gave me a bit of quiet confidence. I was quite a shy child, and being reasonably good at something physical made it far easier to make friends. On a practical level, it got me out of the house and away from screens, which my parents were endlessly grateful for. I don't play anywhere near as often these days, unfortunately, but whenever I do pick up a racket, it takes me straight back.
Here is the complete answer on one slide, so you can pause the video and study it. The word count and the spoken length are on screen. So why does this reach band 9? Look at it through the 4 criteria the examiner is actually marking. Now part 3. The examiner steps back from your personal life and asks about society. The answers get shorter, but the thinking has to get deeper. Here are all 4 questions with model answers. Is it important to have a break during work or study?
I'd say it's essential and not just for comfort. Concentration is a finite resource. After about an hour, most people are simply going through the motions, so a short break is really an investment rather than a loss. What matters is the kind of break, though. Scrolling on a phone keeps your brain in exactly the same mode, whereas walking outside for 10 minutes genuinely resets you. In my experience, the people who take breaks deliberately get far more done than the ones who grind through the whole day.
What sports do young people like to do now?
It's quite polarized, I think. On one side, there's been a real boom in individual flexible activities, gym work, running, cycling, climbing, partly because you can fit them around an unpredictable schedule and partly because social media has made fitness itself fashionable. And the other traditional team sports like football and basketball are still enormously popular, especially at school age. And there's a third category that barely existed when I was young, competitive gaming, which plenty of young people would insist counts as a sport.
Are there more activities for young people now than 20 years ago?
Far more, without question, although I'd add a caveat. The sheer range has exploded. Coding clubs, climbing walls, skate parks, online communities built around almost any interest you can name. 2 decades ago, in most neighborhoods, you had a handful of options, and that was that. The caveat is that a lot of the new activities are organized and paid for, so access depends heavily on income. Children today have more choice on paper, but not all of them can actually reach it.
Do adults and children have enough time for leisure activities nowadays?
Children probably have the time, but not the freedom. Their afternoons are booked solid with extra classes, so leisure gets scheduled like everything else. Adults are in the opposite position. The working day has technically shortened, yet phones have blurred the line between work and home so completely that people are never fully off duty. So on paper, we have more leisure time than any previous generation. Whether we actually feel like we do is another question entirely.
4 habits hold all of those answers together. Answer in the first sentence. Give 2 sides, then a verdict. Add 1 honest qualification. And stop at around 40 seconds. That is cue card 34. The full transcript is in the description. If this helps, subscribe to bmaster79 and tell me in the comments which cue card you would like next. Good luck with your exam.